Hey guys, welcome back to Homestead Prepping and Survival. So I'm going to show you some video today of using my brother's tractor and a 12-inch auger to drill some holes in the ground. And this is one of the projects we did. This just makes the ground easier for us to dig. We augered down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I don't know, 8 or 9 times in this area right here. And as deep as we could get it to go, but of course it slings the dirt back in the last hole you dug and so on. But and like this front one right here, the further we got this way, the harder the ground got. It wouldn't hardly go down at all. So I'm about to clean all that out and break between the holes, of course, but that's where the tower is going to go when I get it stood up, and then I'm gonna pour concrete around it. So however deep it is or however big it is how much concrete it's gonna be, because there ain't no way to dig any deeper than that. We spent 2 hours trying to dig those holes. And this over here at the well for the water tower did not come out the way I wanted it, but you're going to see video of it. This hole is about 28 to 30 inches deep, maybe 32 once I clean the loose dirt out of the bottom. And then this hole is about 14 inches deep, and it would not go no deeper. You see, we wet that one and it's just sat there. We spent an hour and a half digging that 14-inch hole. And then this hole, we spent about 45 minutes on it. We got maybe 5 or 6 inches out of it. That's it. I said, you know what? The ground that hard, if I can get the one pole stood up there, there's no way that this building is going to go anywhere. We're going to put a post in that one, or a pole in that one, and a pole here. Then there'll be 2 more poles that wouldn't even try to dig. It's just the ground so hard it just wasn't going to dig it. So there'll be 5 poles. One of them's in the ground really good. The other one's 14. These things aren't going to move. There's going to be 6,000 pounds of weight on top of them. So they're not going anywhere. So that's the way it's got to be. Oop, I hope he didn't break that water line. I see it. Don't look like he did. But something I found yesterday, I've got to turn the water off on this line where it comes down through here. You see the trail I'm walking? Look right there, there's a wet spot right inside the pen. So no water accumulated, but the ground stays damp there, so that means I've got a small leak. I'm gonna have to dig up that water line right there. It's probably a joint that didn't get glued good or just didn't hold. So I'm gonna have to dig that up and re-glue that joint to stop that leak. And of course I left it laid on the ground for several weeks and never had a leak. So we do now. So I'm going to dig that up in the next few days and make the repair there so there's no leak. And I haven't figured out how I'm going to stand them poles up yet. We measured the shortest pole, which is going in the middle of those 5 for the tower, which is the second one here on the ground, which is that one right there. If you look over here, you can see it's the shortest of the 5. So I want to put it up there, put the other ones up, and then I want to cut them all off even, same height. Not the middle one, of course, not the one in the middle, because the floor is going to actually be supported by it. But the 4 corners I want to leave as high as I can, because I'm going to build basically a room on top of these poles and put those water tanks in there. And it's going to be a heavy duty room. But even if it washes in and all of that mess, at least the hole's been drilled as much as it can, and it'll be easier for us to dig out and clean out to put the pole in. As far as up here, I think 3 or 4 of the holes he got really deep, like 2 feet. So he went in, and then in and in down there again. But when he got down to that first row and this last row, he got in, and then he got it at an angle and broke through. So it's deep there. These other holes not as deep, but I'm just going to have to clean out all the dirt, try to get it as deep as I can. When we get the tower stood up, then I'll pour concrete all over it, fill that whole hole in, and I'm going to frame up around the top of it with some kind of lumber, you know, 2x4s or 4x6s or 2x8s, something, so that I can have concrete above the ground a little bit, just for the extra weight. And this 50-foot tower, or 49-foot tower, or whatever it is going to go in that spot. So, and then we got, I'm going to walk down here and show y'all. I had some rather large limbs and a couple trees that had fallen. I've got the property line cleared all the way around. I could actually drive my truck. And that tractor's bigger than my truck. So we decided we'd go through with it and kind of, it's got that claw on the front to pick up limbs and junk and all that. So we cleared the path all the way around. But when we got done, I had those 2 dead pines here that had fallen and one more that was dead standing up. And ended up taking it started breaking at the bottom, but we ended up taking the chainsaw. I cut it off, and then the cedar tree right beside it, I cut it off so we could grab that with that claw and push them back into the edge of the woods there. But in the process of him pushing those dead ones on the ground, he grabbed my wire in the pipe that feeds the classroom out there on the range and pulled it in. It did not break it. Everything still works, but it destroyed the pipe right here where it broke it and pulled the joint loose. And so I'm gonna have to, it broke at the elbows down at the disconnect anyway, so I'm gonna have to take it loose there and then make the repair here on the pipe, and then of course add a little bit more and fix the elbows there at the disconnect, because I don't leave power on out there all the time, just in case, you know, like a tree limb falls and destroys something. So anyway, so now I've got another project to do. I've already had to fix an elbow that was broke there, so now I've got to fix some of the pipe and elbows, and just something else to do. But we did manage to get both those trees, that dead pine tree and the cedar tree that was beside it. The pine tree wouldn't fall into the woods because of that big cedar there. All the limbs from it and another little tree there were holding it up. So the only way it could fall would be out into the yard like the others did. So I went ahead and took the chainsaw and cut both of those off, and he grabbed them with the claw of the tractor and shoved them back in there. So cleaned up a little bit, and like I say, we cleaned the path all the way around the property. So now at least I can go move the little stuff by hand. And there's one of my chainsaws that I was using. I got to get it and put it up. But at least now I can move all the little stuff and take the mower around and knock the weeds down and so on, to try to keep it a little bit cleaned up, you know, like I used to. And of course in the winter and fall and spring it's not near as bad to maintain. It's the summer where it gets scalding hot and things are growing a foot overnight. That's hard to keep up with. I got a screwdriver laying out here somewhere that was in the tongue of that little wagon, or little trailer there, that I used as a hitch pin, and I don't know where it is. It probably got pushed in with the trees, but I was hoping to find it and put it back in that wagon. I think it's a red handle. I don't see it, but either way, it'll be all right. It's just a screwdriver. I actually had it bent, so I'd go through and it'd sit there with the handle up, curved on the bottom, so it didn't just bounce out. But anyway, got this empty. I need to pump the tires up a little bit better. It's been sitting down here for 6-8 months since I did some cleanup. So anyway, thought I'd do a quick video. I'm gonna throw in the parts of us drilling with the auger and the tractor and show y'all that stuff. Chainsaw did well. My buddy got chainsaws running for me. He got 3 of 4 running, and I just grabbed it, primed it, pulled it 3 or 4 times, and then put my hand on the throttle and gave it some gas and pulled it, and it cranked right up. So I'm pleased with that, and it cut really well. As far as putting on those trees and cutting, I had no issues with it. So I need to get the rest of them out this weekend and run them and use them a little bit just to keep them in shape. I didn't even bother to check the oil or the bar oil or the nothing on it. It ran when he brought it. I just grabbed it because we were in a hurry. But I did get my diesel fuel can back from my brother that he, oh my goodness. It's been over a year ago. My backhoe's been at his place. And it was full of diesel when I took it to him. And he's used it, of course. So today we filled it back up and I brought it home. Just so I'll have some extra here. And hopefully in the next week or so, I'm planning on trying to get the tires. I got both left side tires on the backhoe are flat. The front one's easy to pump up, no big deal. The back one has come loose off the rim and it is a pain in the butt to blow up. I bought some starter fluid to try to, you know, do that trick, spray it and light it, let it poof and pop, you know, puff the tire up, and then finish filling it up with an air compressor. But tried that once before, it didn't work. So that's why the tractor's been at his house all this time. I've got to get that rim cleaned and the edge of the tire cleaned, and try to get that tire to seal back, and so I can drive the, you know, drive it up onto the trailer and get the backhoe home. I cranked it today. I cranked it a month ago when I was out there at his farm, so it'll crank right up. The battery's getting a little weak because it's been sitting there for a year or more, but it'll crank up. It just drags a little bit, then it fires up. So it just needs to be ran, and it'll run 10 or 15 minutes before it does the little knocking noise that it does, and then I shut it off. So at least getting it home, changing the oil, filling up the hydraulic fluid, you know, doing all that. At least it's got a bucket and the little claw on it for digging. So at least I can do a little bit of work with it, you know. It might only get 5 or 10 minutes out of it, but it's better than sitting at my brother's farm collecting dust. But I'm going to throw this other video in there for y'all of us digging the holes, and then we'll call this one a done video. So thank y'all for watching. Hey guys, I know I'm following my buddy Bill with the tractor. We're a couple hours behind. When we got to my brother's farm this morning, there was a bull that had just laid down last night and died. Don't know what's wrong with it or what happened, so we had to take care of that and then get the tractor loaded up. So we are headed to the house, and as you can see, oops, sorry about the finger, we've got the auger on there. We're going to try to dig some holes and hope it works. Digging it by hand is not an option. Either way, next time I'll show you with us trying to start. Man, oh man, y'all talking about some hard ground. It's been drilling 10 minutes already. It ain't went but about 6 inches. Got to get through that top layer. It is dry as a bone and hard. We're going to be here a while. Hard as that ground is, these poles won't never move. It took us about 40-45 minutes to drill that hole. It's been on that one for maybe 10. Got at least 12 inches of hard clay. We should be just about through it. It took us 45 minutes to get that far. hard ground. Broke through on the last hole, but it sure ain't wanting to go. That's all we got. An entire hour with the tractor and the auger, and we got 12 to 13 inches. I got 30 inches over here, 2.5 feet. That's been drilling about 5-10 minutes, and it's probably 3 or 4 inches. I don't believe I'm gonna beat this hard ground. Alright guys, my brother said they're putting new tips on the auger so that it should dig better. It works fine for his ground, but wouldn't do mine. So we're going to possibly try, bring the tractor back out with the new tips and see if it will dig better. So what I've noticed is anywhere that I had covered up, when the ground hasn't baked in the sun all summer, it dug better. So I've got about 14-16 inches of hard dry clay. So I'm draining both the water storage tanks to flood this whole area where we're going to be digging. And I filled up the holes actually first with the water hose to try to let it soak in. I fully expect them to still have water in them tomorrow afternoon, as hard as this ground is. But I'm going to drain both those tanks, so that'll be 550 gallons of water dumped in this area out here. And we may try again, if not tomorrow after church, possibly next weekend, to try to get it dug a little better. Otherwise, it's gonna be what it's gonna be, and I'm gonna build it with what I got. So we'll see how it works out. I'll let y'all know if we decide to dig some more. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up and show y'all what we did today and get it all put together and edited for you so I can upload it for you next week, which will, you know, day after tomorrow, and it'll be out sometime early next week. So thank y'all for watching. I appreciate it. Y'all be safe, be prepared.